Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to another Spirit Monday. I want to start off by saying to you that I'm not religious, and my spirituality is not based on the ideals of men or women. It's based on my experiences. Okay, I'm here to talk truth, and whichever way it presents itself through whichever medium, that's what I'm doing, talking truth. And the best truth to speak is your own truth, because you can see someone else's story and you might try to analyze that story, but it's only based on what they show you. But your story is based on your experience. And so you ought to know yourself better than anyone else. And no one should tell you what your journey should look like. You should decide that. Okay? So when we talk about spirituality, people get the impression that you're supposed to be docile. And we know what happened to ancestors that were docile. And the ones who continue to be docile. We'll have plenty more time to talk about practice when it comes to spirituality. But tonight we're talking about experience. And the experience we're going to talk about tonight, many of you can identify with it. Okay? Now, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, I think it's Psalms 118. Don't quote me on it, but I know it's a psalm where it says, the stone that the builder refused shall become the head cornerstone. And, you know, I can so relate to that. And I want to say to you that I'm not perfect. And neither are you. So in the past 2 years, when I found myself in a situation extending care and love to someone who clearly did not love me. You know, a sibling of mine told someone not too long ago that my father doesn't like me. And it was a hurtful thing to say, to hear, but it's the truth. And neither did my parents that raised me. They didn't like me either. Because when you love somebody, when you love your children, you do everything to protect them. And you'll do everything you can to bless them in whichever way you can. So, but the person made this remark, you know, because she feels as if, based on her experience, you know, and the outcomes in her life, the people that are around her that she calls her family or her relatives clearly looked out for her when they didn't look out for me. But here's the thing. Everything I'm saying tonight is all the truth. Nothing but the truth. I dare someone to come and dispute any of what I'm saying in all honesty. Many of us have our family. And you know what they see you as? A means to an end. They will use you and abuse you. And they will drain you, your blood energy, and your spiritual life form. They will do things to you that if you're not careful, you know, that connection you're supposed to have with spirit, you lose it because you start to question God. You start to question the spirits to say, why you allow this to happen to you? But the spirits will allow it to happen so you not only grow in your spirituality from strength to strength, but you also get to see the people around you for who they are. And so when people, again, I don't like the word karma. I prefer justice. And when I look at what happened to me from the hand of someone that I loved, it just broke my heart. But to be honest with you, I spent years trying to still get that person's love. And I didn't. He couldn't pretend. Remember the story I told you about when I said to him, I love you? He started coughing. He couldn't. Now, I didn't tell you who that was, but now you know. But here's the thing. When I talk about forgiveness, you know, in case you have a question to say, I thought you forgave him. I forgave him in order for me to do what was right by him. When Spirit led me to his condition, I cried for days. I cried for days. So I had to forgive him in order to do what Spirit was leading me to do. And so for 2 years, you know, I'm going back and forth, communicating with him. But in 2021 in particular, it became my mission. Because some things I was seeing and hearing coming out of Jamaica was horrific. And I was all led to it by Spirit. I was all led to it by Spirit because I would have dreams, and my dreams would take me to that place where I would see what was happening, and when I would do my investigation, it would turn out to be true. When I talk about relatives back home, I want you to understand that there are people who I am related to, who I have a great relationship with. There are some that I don't really communicate with on a regular basis, but I still love them. I have a few nephews that I really genuinely love. And I have 3 brothers that I do love. So I'll say relatives, and it will seem like everyone, and it's not everyone. But I have my reason to separate myself from everyone besides a brother who collaborated with me to bring aid to my father. I'm not going to say too much more about that, but what I'm going to say, and this is what disgusts me. My father had a fantastic funeral. I was not there, but it grieved me when I saw the crowd. It grieved me when I saw the hypocrites turn up and play like there's something. This is why I know when we say God, you have to ask yourself, which God? And when people try to ascribe their own personality to a God-like, deity, you have to know it's the judgment and the condemnation and the self-righteousness is all personal. Because if this God was as terrible as people try to paint, him, assuming it is masculine, if this God was like that, many of these ones would drop down. They would drop down. Because while they're saying God, they're indulging in wickedness. I want to talk about wickedness to Jamaican people. They think about the first thing on their tongue is witchcraft or obia. Some of the things that they're doing to people is worse than obia. Because when you ask them, what is obia? I'm still waiting for an answer. And when people want to act like they're righteous and self-righteous, they start talking about, obia. And you have to ask yourself the question, how much people in Jamaica really know anything about obia? Because if they did, the state of the nation would not be the way it is. And every person who is supposedly working obia would be able to do some things to free people. And a lot of people are still very much in bondage. But I realize that the spirits are here to not just condemn, but to teach us and to give us an opportunity to change or to fix our ways. But a lot of people will not change. That spirit, that dangerous spirit, is sitting in the seat of their soul. Now, for the individuals who reached out today to say, I feel your pain, bless up yourself. But for the ones that reached out to say, Jenny, I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty, I have to say there's a lot of respect I have for you to at least acknowledge what you're doing. Because I had to talk about it this morning because, you know, when your cup run over, yeah, my cup run over. And I no longer wanted to participate in this lie, in this destructive lie, you know, where people pretend to be something that they're not, where people are evil and their memory is short-lived. People watched this man who was in his 90s suffer. What I'm talking about suffering? Hunger. Here's an example. Someone told me he was deaf. And when I investigated, I said, how do you know he's deaf? Person says, well, he's not hearing. After consulting a doctor and a few nurses, I said, well, the only way to confirm that is to bring him to the doctor. And when he went to the doctor, his ear was filled with wax that built up something like a stone in his ear. When I realized I couldn't communicate with him anymore, it was heartbreaking. Because there were still things that I wanted to talk to him about. Things that were unresolved. Things that I pushed down in the bottom of my gut. And I thought I'll never get a chance to say. Nothing mean-spirited, but just to talk to him and tell him my truth. And he could no longer hear me. And nobody bothered to check if he had really lost his hearing or not, or if there was anything they could do to restore it. They didn't. They just took it at face value. And he told me that he felt like garbage at the root of a banana tree. And that's a quote. He felt like garbage. And when he's saying that to me, it brought tears to my eyes. But I was saying to myself, here's a man who did me wrong. And the two people that he loved and did the most for, they abandoned him. His favorite son and a woman who I'm sure is executor to his will. By the way, people, run the will. Okay? The man has 9 children. Let's see. Let's see what he bequeathed to whoever. I'm curious. And if I know you're going to be watching this, who are you to come together, you favorite son and favorite beneficial daughter, to go off in a corner and write a will? You both write a will and decide what happens in that will, and you make yourself beneficiary to the majority of what he owns. And then you take him, you have the audacity to take that to him and get him to sign it. And you say that's a will, run the will. So that at least that brother who traveled all the way from Spanish Town to come to bring him to the doctor, to give him a meal to eat, so he can know what his father blessed him with, because he does deserve something. And when I called upon them, they never said no. They would travel all the way from Spanish Town to bring him to the doctor, even though you are right there. And all the times when he's hungry and it's 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the 94-year-old man does not have a cup of tea, or when you decide to go to church and 6 o'clock Sunday evening, he still doesn't have a meal. Run the wheel. People, in the 2 years when I took it on myself to bless him in whichever way I could, every single turn I made, there was roadblocks. I remember going to Western Union, and I remember telling you people this story. I sent funds, and the person was having a difficult time getting it. Something was not right with, I don't know if it was the phone number or person's name. I don't know. I had to go back and fix it. And then there was another problem. I had to go back. And the third time I went, my bank card wasn't working. And I'm sure you guys remember me saying, I called out to the Most High and I said, how is it possible that the Creator would be saying no to feeding an old man? I just couldn't accept that. But the truth is, it was justice. Because my funds, my money, was what was taken from me and caused me hurt and pain for over 20-something years. We don't understand the whole scale of justice. So for the persons who go out there and rob and, destroy other people's lives, they don't understand that it's justice. It's not just about the whole thing about karma, like some people say. It's about the scale of justice balancing itself out at all times. And the whole idea of spirit ensuring that we are either protected or the things we do become a curse. And also for those people who are feeling hurt, they don't realize that, yes, for a season, it may seem like the ones who hurt you are going to get away, but they won't. They won't. But again, in the same scripture, for those of you who are Christians, it does say, like, if your enemy wants food or water, you're supposed to feed them, and you have to help to quench their thirst. And when the wicked does any evil thing to you, and then you see them suffering, you're not really supposed to celebrate that. You're not. So, as difficult as it was to keep those hurt feelings down, and keeping them down is not necessarily a good thing, but you have to pick, there's a time and a place for everything. And if you're a person who is blessed, you're going to do the right thing. It was the right thing to feed and to support someone who was not just some stranger, but someone who I was told is my father, who didn't always behave like one. I didn't attend, and I know I told you guys briefly that I did not attend because I don't know how to be a hypocrite. I couldn't be around people who clearly showed me that they hated me. And whatever peace I made with my father, I had no reason to then go to a place where he wouldn't even know that I'm there. But the truth is, I was uncomfortable because within that time, except for some nephew, and one sibling, two siblings. No one really reached out to me. And that for me was a clear sign. But here's the thing with some of these people. They don't like you, but they don't have a problem bleeding you. They don't have a problem taking your money. Even though they don't hate you, they feel like they're obligated to touching your money or touching what belongs to you. So they could spend 20 years not speaking to you, but they still expect you to come and support them as far as money is concerned. But I didn't do it for them. I did it for him because there was a time when he was my friend. At least I thought he was my friend. And when I saw images of this old man, it made me sick. And I paid for a video of the funeral. I haven't watched it yet. I cannot watch it. I just cannot watch it because I'm not going to be able to really watch it without being very angry. Everybody turned up. Everyone turned up at his funeral. That's how they are. They're willing to give you love when you're dead. They love dead people, not when you're alive. The man cried and said he felt like garbage to me. And although it broke my heart, I thought to myself, wow, isn't that something? That's how spirit work. Be careful how you treat people. Be careful, because you never know how those ones are going to come back to help you, help heal your suffering. And so time after time, when I would get these dreams and I would reach out, and sometimes I'll hear he's okay, I'll say no, he's not okay, because I trust my spirit guides. They never lie. And after investigation, I would get the truth about what's happening to him. And it's a disgrace. If the dead had power, that church would have to be emptied out. Great speeches. Now I'm sure there are people in that room who he didn't do right by. But the speeches were great. And the ones who benefited the most from this senior citizen are the ones that treated him the worst. So I have mixed feelings. I feel anger, great anger and rage. But I watch how things are unfolding. When I listen to the hypocrisy and the love, people talking as if they care for him after he's dead. Disgraceful. And these ones have no conscience to take some time and examine their heart to say, I didn't do right by this man. He suffered. And the ones who punished him with their absence or their neglect, they're the ones here talking nonsense about how, they have to decide how to read will. A will that they sat down and wrote between the two of them to determine what happens with the man's assets. And so the very thought that these ones could think that they would push me aside like they always did, and that they would suddenly benefit from the death of a man who suffered like a dog. And like I said, there were things that I wanted to do. I had to sometimes call out. I had to call out and say, Spirit of Yah, I forgive him. Move the roadblocks. Move the stumbling blocks. I forgive him. That doesn't mean because I forgive him that I don't remember. I remember. But remembering hurtful things that people do to you doesn't always give you the right to not do what is right. But when I saw how things were for 6 weeks, not a text. I don't even want anyone calling me, but even the charade of saying, your father have passed. Nothing. And there's some things I'm going to leave for another time. I literally mourned for 6 weeks. I wore black for 6 weeks. And I wasn't just mourning because he passed. I was mourning because the hurt that I felt all those years. And a lot of things that I predicted to him many years before, I saw them manifest. And there is a lot more I would have wanted to do, but I was blocked. Spirit stood in the way because of justice. So if you are somebody who is unkind, and if you're someone who your greed and your selfishness stand in the way of you saying, I have not been a good child, I've not been a good son, I've not been a good daughter. If you actually think you're a good person when you have neglected your own parent that loved you. Remember, they remind me that he hates me. Someone told me, this woman says, don't call that woman's name. He hates me. But the same Bible say, feed your enemy. No, that doesn't mean I'm going to put myself in a position to allow my enemies to come before me and I am stupidly thinking that I'm going to let them use me. No, that was a parent. That's what makes the difference. We have to stop allowing these religion to brainwash us, to cause us to subject ourselves to more abuse. We have to find spirit within. And all the pain and the hurt and the suffering you endure in life from relatives or you know, people close to you, your own family, it won't be in vain. But when you're angry, allow yourself to be angry. Don't let anybody tell you how you're supposed to behave and what you're supposed to be like. Because a lot of these very wicked ones, they have nothing controlling them. They do as they please. They only have rules and laws for you to follow. They're not following any of these laws or these rules. They're doing what makes them happy. And don't believe that some of these very wicked ones you know, are going to suffer financial loss, and they're going to just be miserable. Sometimes they live some wonderful life. Some of the very wicked ones, when you look after, they rip you off and they abuse you. They live some good up life while you're there sitting there in a corner feeling sorry for yourself. Sometimes you have to get righteously angry, and you have to step towards these ones and declare and denounce them, so you can break that shackle. You can break the chain, because some of these ones have you bounded. The words they speak against your name, the things they do to you financially, physically, and spiritually. And you have to fight to free yourself. And once you free yourself, you cannot put yourself in that position for these ones to abuse you anymore. There's no way I could go in a church and sit with those people. Absolutely no way. The thought repulses me. No, that doesn't mean there were not people in the church that I would say hello to and be cordial and be happy to actually see. But how could I present myself in a space where people turn against you and they cannot give you a reason why? They were the ones who violated me and hurt me. And because I spoke on it, they were angry. They were resentful. Or because they had nothing else to get from me, they didn't want to see me. I was suddenly like, you know, something floating in the wind. I had no value. A lot of these people in Jamaica, you only have value based on what you can do for them, or what you'll allow them to do to you when you roll over and let them abuse you and take disadvantage of you. That's the only time they'll say, or not just say, but tolerate you. But I'm going to say in this video, every single person who stood by and watched that old man suffer, you let prophecy fulfill on you, just like prophecy was fulfilled on him. You think all that happened to him, he didn't stop for a moment to say, why would my heart be so corrupt and so dirty against my own father that I would watch him suffer, but I would avoid him? Even though I'm in his yard, I would not go inside to check in on a 94-year-old man until his foot looked like it's rotting. And when he's hungry and calling out at night for food, nothing to eat. Your disgrace. All of you are going to suffer. All of you who are involved in that, you will suffer. We all have our day. We all have our day. Every dog has its day. And some of the things that he went through was justice because of things that he have done in the past. Kids, his own kids, to women. So you think that he could live like that and endure that kind of suffering and prophecy be fulfilled on you and him at the same time, and your suffering isn't coming? I feel sorry for you. For every person who made him go to bed hungry, I feel pity for you. I had to skip rope, try to help from this end. And when I think that's okay and everything is fine, I find out it's not. And when I go to the other end, there is a roadblock. I'm telling you, I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen spirit work in such a way where I had to beg, I had to cry, I had to plead with spirit to say, please, forgive him. So when I was given the instruction on what to do, and at first saying, why would I do any such thing? Why? But you know me. when I'm sent to do something, sent with a message, sent with instruction, I'm going to give in. I'm not going to allow my stubbornness to let me disobey the will of the Most High. For those of you listening to this video, again, I'm going to repeat, I'm not a perfect person because I got a temper that's crazy. And as I am working on myself and asking for divine grace and mercy, I'm going to give thanks for one thing, for this heart that the Holy Spirit put in my chest. This heart that will not allow me to be cruel. Some people are heartless. You see them moving around there like zombies. No heart. Very wicked. He's laid to rest now. Whatever happened in the past, he's absolved from those things. And so I have to find a way to let those go. And I have. But I just wanted to send the message to say, they will carry me. At the time when you saw that one footstep in the sand, they protect me. They keep me safe, and so I'm not afraid what man or woman can do to me. I am blessed. And the Spirit says, he will make, or they will make your enemies your footstool. So even when they hate you, and the more that hatred grows, you just continue to prosper. When people hate you without a cause, you will continue to prosper. And they don't realize the more they hate you, the more they destroy themselves. It's like them drinking poison expecting you to die. Run the will. I'd like to hear it. And the one son, the only son that actually cared for him, not just yesterday, but for many years. And the other son that he loves and adores, you're a disgrace. You need to go sit in a corner and ask for forgiveness. Repent of your wicked, evil ways. You're a wicked man. What you did to your father, I never in my wildest dream imagine that you would do him so bad. And now you come to claim his legacy. Disgusting. The woman next door is a better person than you. Because even if it's just one meal, she's still a better person than you. You didn't look at him. You said he's old and he should die. And it's a waste of money to take him to the doctor. Are you kidding me? I saw you on top of the house, build it. You'll never enjoy it. You better repent of your wicked ways. run the wheel. Claim your inheritance. I dare you. Let the young man get what his father left him. I accept that I was not loved. But the worst part of it is not that this man didn't love his own daughter, is that his other children was okay with that. The only daughter that spent thousands with him, the only daughter who gave up her life and came to Jamaica to be with him when I heard that he had cancer and that he lived in a house by himself and that he was lonely at a time when everything great was going on in my life. At that time, I have 2 fellowships from both university. At that time, I had job offers and opportunities. I was doing well. And I gave all of that up to come to Jamaica because I was told he'll be so happy to have me. And when I came there and I saw the condition he was living in, filthy, I dumped everything in his house and painted it and paid people to repair this and that. And I said to him, you will not have to worry for anything. He had no electricity in his house. He said whenever he had a disagreement with his wicked daughter, she would take away her electricity and leave him in the dark. I paid to wire that house. I paid to run that electricity. And I said, you'll never have to worry about bills or anything when you have to go to the doctor or you need food. That was on me. Even when I moved from there, I was still paying his bill. And it was me that he rejected and abandoned. The stone that the builder refused. He would have died a long time ago had I not stepped in. Died from hunger. First time when they went for him to bring him to the doctor, he couldn't hold up his head. Oh, you don't think this is a good Spirit Monday? It's a great Spirit Monday. We're talking about experiences and who God is. And the power of the Spirit of Yah. Couldn't hold up his head. And has a daughter living right beside him. And a son that goes to him all the time. You're a disgrace. You should be ashamed of yourself. Woman, stop putting my name on your tongue. You desecrate my name. Your obsession with me is too much. You don't like me, but yet you're looking for me, looking for the court. What you wanted to do? You wanted to see me so badly that when you found out that I wasn't there, what were you going to do? You're going to jump off a cliff? What did you want to do? Because you're big mad that I didn't come. Why would you want to see someone you don't like? Why? You all are disturbed. You need baptism with the holy fire. People, I'm going to wrap this up right here. When we talk about things of the Spirit, it doesn't mean that we have to always speak in tongues and act like we're self-righteous. We speak the truth and we call it as we see it. And we don't let hate to permeate our heart. But we also have to reconcile those feelings of hurt. Because that's how the healing begins. Okay? Those of you going through the same thing, you have parents that don't like you. They treat you like SHIT. And yet they're always looking to you to deliver them. I'm just saying, you know, if it's possible, if you have the heart to forgive, forgive. But don't let them abuse you or use you. And when people show you that they don't like you, believe them. stay away from them. I'm staying the hell away from these people. I don't trust any of them, and wouldn't subject myself to any of them, because the possibility of them doing me harm is great. And that's only based on what they show me in their action. Run the wheel, man. I want to see and hear. Stay blessed, everybody.